That's a very, very goofy looking roof. Perfect example. We got to fix this. So maybe I'll just delete this and be working through it, on my own and want to figure out how to make this work just through manual. So I'm going to turn off that automatic build. And now I want to figure out, maybe this hip carries all the way through. Just keep in mind, we have the tools to do our auto join roof planes here. So this join roof planes in our edit toolbar. And for that to work and give you a high level of success, you need to get your roofs close enough for Chief to figure it out. So the closer you get to reality, the better that join roof planes is going to work. So if I pull this roof plane kind of through and arbitrarily, oops, let me just rotate about here, and now I want to cut this roof plane to this, let's just see what it even does. It's going to tell us no, right? So maybe I need to bring it back to this ridge line. And in fact, it is already cut to this roof. So I want to do the inverse. I want to cut our main roof plane here to this interceding roof plane. And it worked. Same thing. I'm going to bring this roof plane forward like so, and then select this. And we'll see what happens when we're way off and see if it does its job. Probably not, right? So as long as I bring this back, and I bring this forward, and this is a guess and check kind of thing, you kind of play with it. So this looks like it needs another break. Come back here. And at some point, it works. So the closer you get that join roof plane tool, the better your success rate will be for that, for manual drawing. So now we have a multi-pitch and it's meeting up and it was done pretty quickly. The main problem that I see people having when they're getting into manual roofs is that baseline moving on them. So if you're running into things where the roofs seem to be going just wild, you got to check that baseline height. If you're going to edit, manually edit pitch or a ridge top height, if you want to match up a bunch of ridge lines, then I would tell you try to make sure that that baseline height is locked in your general panel under the roof planes. I don't know if you guys get into curved roofs or multi-pitch roofs. Excuse me, like a low pitch and high pitch on a single roof plane.
So I don't think we've seen curved. It's more that we're starting to see more additions and whatnot, and
okay.
It's like that's where I was struggling with the plan that I sent you, is the aspect of like I don't feel like I can really change dimensions to make sure it's exactly right, because I know if I move anything wrong, my roof is going to go, and I don't know how to fix it.
Okay, all right, understood. So then I'll give you probably one of my biggest tricks. So let's say that we do not know where this roof plane lands to meet up with this roof plane as a ridge line, right? And we want to figure that out, and we don't know how to. So there's a couple ways of going about this. One, in my plan view, it's easier to do this in plan view. I can't wait for the day we can do it in 3D, but I'm going to draw my roof plane out, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend it past this other roof plane and make sure that I'm over wall top in this condition, meaning I want my baseline to land on the wall top. This is not a roof plane that's supposed to be going over an existing roof plane. So I'll line up my eaves, and then let's just look at this in 3D. So it crosses itself, and we can get it pretty close to where it should be, and then try to use that join roof plane tool, right? And what it did was cut this one, so now I need to select the one that wasn't cut and use it to join back to this first one, this previous one. And I need to, drag this back, kind of line it up before I can use that tool successfully. So there's one method, right? So here's another method for finding this. And let's just delete this roof plane out again, and I'll bring this back up to the point where we don't know where it's supposed to land. I'm going to copy this roof in place, paste, hold position, okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out to the point where it's crossing itself, which will delete it just to this section right here. Okay, say that this is a known ridge height, right? That I know that this ridge height is at this level. We just have two roof planes, and that's not a big deal. There's no problem with that, right? We can have two roof planes side by side with each other. It may look a little funny in plan because we have a split here now, but ultimately this isn't a problem. So if I need to locate a ridge line on a kind of a multiple ridge roof plane, I can just split it up. I can copy it, break it, duplicate it over, and then kind of stack it next to each other. And now we know this ridgeline height, which means that we could draw our roof plane kind of backwards. So I can take this ridge top height, copy. We know that the pitch is 8 and 12. And we're just assuming that we've got a roof plane that doesn't really matter. But the other thing we can do here is copy and then reflect about the ridge. And now we have that joined roof, right? So to finish this up, I can select this roof plane, select this roof plane, and use our union. And now it's one single roof plane again. Those are some big tricks, and we just went through them all really fast. So I hope you're recording this one.
We are.
Okay. All right, good. So that's probably a lot to go play with. And we can get further into that maybe after you play around with that, because we've got more tricks. There's a lot to roofs, right? We get into structure tabs, we get into any number of things. In terms of detailing roofs, we've got shadow boards. If you don't know what Chief does with a shadow board, we essentially could put a molding profile on our fascia, and your roof, your top roof surface will extend to cover that molding profile. Okay, so that means you can use it for things that aren't necessarily shadow boards as well. So there's some tricks to be had there if you know how that works. So it puts a molding profile against our fascia, and then the top roof surface covers that molding profile. There's a trick there where I learned how to make a Spanish roof look pretty realistic.
That's not easy to do.
What's that?
So that's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to do, and I don't plan on giving it away. I think I'm going to sell that one. I've got a lot of people down in South America that want to pay me for that. Okay, so the next one is, we've got, I call them freezies, but your freeze profiles that go underneath our roof structure up against our solid surface on the exterior, right? So same kind of thing there. It will cut to our walls, meaning that molding will cut at any intersection of a wall. So another useful thing to know is that maybe you can use the freeze tool for different methods. Gutters, much like anything in Chief Architect, if you select an edge, that edge is going to get its own handle to show you that it's a selected edge handle, right? So I can select this edge on this gable end, and we can see here I've got a dark color here set as my colors. And if I open up my roof data box, we're going to see in the gutter panel that on this particular selected edge, I have the ability to turn gutters on or off. So look, I just put a gutter profile on my gable end, kind of goofy. It's the same thing for shadow boards. We do not have that control in freezies. I can't stop saying freezy. I'm going to do it, whatever. Don't publish this.
Fine.
So we also have this control in ridges. I believe we do, anyways. Might have to check that, but I'm pretty sure we have control over our ridge caps on a selected edge. Yes, we do. See, I can turn a ridge cap on. I don't even know what that's going to look like on a cable end. I don't think it even works. Yeah, it needs two joined planes for that to work, but you can force a ridge molding on there, so long as they're tangent. So let's see, what else to go over here? I mean, we've got You've got subfascia, fascia, you've got control over fascia on a gable end versus an eave. And then your structure tabs, if you guys have ever had to get into this. I don't imagine that you have. I guess if you're doing additions, you are now.
We do have, obviously anytime we deal with an actual addition, we are pulling in an architect, because that's above my pay grade. But we do obviously want to make sure that, our plans for the interior stuff are reasonably accurate. We're creating the 3D rendering that's going to whatever the city is to get approval for it, things like that. So we do have to manage to come up with something that, it's not the structural element of how it's going to be built, but we do have to make it look right.
Right. If you've got a 14-inch, assembly, you're going to have to show that. So
right.
We know that in our structure panel, this is where we set up our framing. We've got some designations here that we can do. Our surface panel is going to be our top surface. If you have a condition where, where the underside of your eaves doesn't have this soffit material here, you might want to be editing your surface area to show a T&G. So if you follow that, so I'm going to uncheck soffits for this particular roof plane, right? And then I can change my surface and add, and this is a good thing to note what I'm about to say right now. And this works for wall types as well, okay? You see how I'm selected this OSB Hertz plywood right now? If I choose to insert below, it's going to duplicate that selection. Okay, let me delete that. Let me select the composition roof now. If I say insert below, you see it's going to duplicate that composition roof. So same way that works in walls, meaning that if we're in a wall assembly, and this is a perfect example, oftentimes I need to have an exterior wall that has stucco on either side, which means maybe it's a railing and it's supposed to have stucco on either side. I want to duplicate the assembly on the exterior to bring it down to the interior side. And so what I can do is select all the layers. We'll select one by one, a layer in the exterior side, insert below, and move it down the stack so that it's switched. And we can show that if you want to see it. So here we go. I've duplicated this comp roof here. And what I'm going to do is just click on either the pattern window or the texture window. And then I can come in here and find a siding or some kind of a TNG. I've got this siding material here. And when I pick that, this is on the lowest portion of the stack. And so we've turned off soffits, the structure underneath. The ceiling is specific to the interior. If we have a room that has no ceiling, no flat ceiling plane unchecked, the ceiling will show through to this underside of the roof. So whatever you specify in the ceiling, it could either be the use room finish, which would be by default drywall, or we could specify like a TNG like we're doing here. So we've unchecked soffits, left the ceiling plane alone, and in the top surface, I've put in a siding material on the lower end of the stack. And here you go. If we build our framing, we're going to see our framing extend past this. Let me just build roof framing real quick. Build roof framing right here. And we'll make it divisible. There you go. So you might see this condition a lot, right? It's regional, but I feel like this is probably pretty common around you.
I think it depends on the exact municipality and, kind of the age of the house, but I've definitely seen it.
Here's this condition, and we show here we've got our subfascia here, and then our fascia board. So our rafters are meeting that subfascia. And then you've got a whole bunch of other settings in roof planes. You can, specify your rafter tail. I don't remember how much of my library I gave you guys, but I have a gutter profile that's a 3D profile, and it has a drip edge, and it's...
I believe we have it.
Okay, that's a great one. It doesn't fight other materials from the roof plane. So, okay, so let's look at your Akowitz. How do you say that?
Akowitz.
Akowitz. Is it German?
It could be.
That's
I don't know
great.
for sure, but in this
No,
area, it would
nobody
not be
gets finished.
shocking.
I would read a hobbit in
A
Polish.
hobbit? Okay.
A hobbit, yes.
Okay,
It's like
alright.
mostly for me in Polish because it's CH and CZ, like
Okay.
a hobbit.
And were we just supposed to take your word for it because you have an accent?
She's from Poland.
No, because I am from Poland and this is Polish last name, I
Yeah.
can tell you.
Oh, okay. I think you're qualified. Okay. All right. So let's see. What's this? What are we looking at here? Where is that?
So that is
data?
going to be where you see I believe it's E5, 6, and 7. Essentially, those are right under the plane. It's kind of going diagonal from the corner of the shower door down to the corner of the green, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
By the way, I have some new tools here, and you guys just need to request it from me. But I have the capability of doing this funny little thing, zooming way in on a mouse cursor. So if you're ever having trouble,
That's
seeing
amazing.
something, let me know.
This is so cool.
Just improving as we go. All right. Missing some materials. That's not a big deal.
Okay, so when you go through the door here, it's going to be right on your left.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I need to change one thing here. There we go. Okay, so this wall.
Yes, so see where it's coming down.
Oh, and we want this to extend through, right? Or not?
The
The roof plane? See how that's-
kind of, yeah. So basically this slope down, like the slope starting, I'm trying to think how to
Up
explain it.
here.
Yep, so that's like where the new roof of the dormer is meeting the existing roof of the house. So
Okay.
specifically where my problem is from a rendering standpoint is the face that we're seeing here, that side should be shiplap. But this underneath section, like right under your cursor,
Yeah.
that should be
This should-
tile.
This should not be.
Correct. And it was insistent that like I couldn't figure out how to get a polyline at the right angle to be able to cheat it that
Okay,
way.
okay.
And
All right, so
it's
let's just take a look at how you even accomplished this. Ceiling finish, I'm assuming you've got it here. There we go. Okay, so, and then there's our answer. We kind of just touched on it. Can you guess?
so I need to somehow break that so that I've got two sections.
Well, so
Yes?
this is
No?
this is its own roof plane.
Uh-huh.
So we can come in here, uncheck that use room finish. And then what was this supposed to be?
It's an 8x24 tile. The shower tile.
Oh. Well, we'll just leave it what it is, and we'll leave it whatever this is, which we've now specified. And that should change. And that should also absolutely screw up all your roofs. So you have auto build roofs on right now.
I think we do, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to turn that off real quick. Oh, it actually doesn't show that we have auto build roofs. That's interesting. And it's not letting me select anything. Okay, let me get in here. Here we go. See what's going on here. That's really funny. Oh, it's because you have a dormer.
Yeah.
I've been worried for this because existing walls are in the way. Okay. This is a funny condition then. I never used the dormer tool. I've never had to do a floating dormer. So you're
Okay.
using,
Because
is
as
this a
it
floating
stands,
dormer or?
so as it stands where you
Good.
see,
Yeah.
if you go back outside the house there, so this,
Yeah.
the main, like, the side there, that's the existing roof. And then
Okay.
we're plunking the dormer into that. There's like a 8-foot deep angled attic space.
Okay.
So we're
I don't like
plunking that dormer
using
in.
the dormer tools because of this reason. If it's, for this condition, unless I'm using a floating dormer, I'll use floating dormers and I really have very little experience with it. But if I've got a condition like this, I would just rather just build this out with my own walls and assembly. So let me do that real quick. So what's the pitch on this? This is 11 and 12 pitch roof.
Let me grab the architecturals. It is a 12-10.
1210, okay. And this must be, well, you might have me stumped on this. I haven't had to deal with these.
I'm sure there's some serious workarounds. Just like I said, she was basically trying to get it to look right for the 3D.
Okay.
To be perfectly honest, everything you see in turquoise, a good chunk of that is actually polyline solid. To
Okay.
force, because the wall didn't want to be a wall, so we
So,
overrode
we
that.
have, let's see, we have a condition here where, let's look at this again. Let me try to wrap my head around this. We might keep you a little extra on this one. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so we're on second floor,
Mm-hmm.
and this is our second floor condition. I'm wondering why these walls are all being built. That's interesting.
That's the garage of
That's
the rough footprint of the house.
Oh, so it's extending up. But, I mean, did you guys build this, or was this auto-generated?
I believe we built it.
Okay.
Just for the sake of like showing that, hey, there's a garage here, and there's and that
Okay.
like the roof pitch was.
Because then what's our height here is we still have an 88. So you have your roofs somehow not cutting into these walls. The reason I asked is because typically you've got a roof system that's actually landing on the plates of the lower floor here. Oh, except for right here.
Mm-hmm.
I see. So these walls right here shouldn't, like this section of wall right here shouldn't exist on that second floor, which is probably why we're getting
Because
this
it does
condition.
do that with the.
Yeah. But you guys aren't worried about this anyways. This
No,
is
we're not
part of
worried
this
about
job.
that section.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, I think we managed to make the plans make sense. And like I said, we do have the architecturals. It was just more, I was trying to, like, I'm not finding the right words to manage to make it make sense what I'm saying to tile and what I'm saying to shiplap, and the fact that I can't get my rendering to reflect. I've been able to figure out how to get the rendering to reflect what it's supposed to be.
Okay. And then what's this blue section here?
So the actual wall, so this is the dormer wall. So basically the wall actually, that little blue right above your, the middle blue.
Yeah.
So that's actually where the wall is turning.
Okay. I put a bunch of like inference lines here to try to rebuild this. It's not going to be perfect. We'll just kind of show
That's fine.
the process here. I'm going to get rid of. This is. I actually don't know how to select a dormer.
That's why they say that color, because I couldn't figure out how to open it.
Let me see if I can just delete it. Delete objects. Do they have dormers in here? Maybe not. There we go. Okay. And then instead, I'm going to draw in my own stuff, and I'm going to get rid of some of this other in here, so I can see. And I'll let you populate your. Great thing about deleting things is you guys kind of learning how to just replace this really
Yes.
quickly. Yeah. Okay. Walls have their own labels, by the way.
I know. There were ones I didn't care about. It was just.
Okay.
It's just because, walls, I think it's like 2, 3, and 6 are shiplap, and 4 are drywall, and, just trying to make it clear for the guys in the field of like.
Does it seem like I just come in and antagonize you guys?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's, if anything, it's kind of none of us have any really like formal training with it.
Yeah.
And it's, you reach a point where it's, you've got to just figure out how to make it work.
Get off the island, as we say.
And, so it's kind of trying to relearn some stuff that's challenging at times, but.
Okay. So this is I think this is our new wall. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to draw a roof plane off of this side coming in, right?
Mm-hmm.
and I know that I can extend it out past that center point. Let's just look at what we cut in 3D now. Okay, so we've got the makings of, we're gonna need to adjust the ceiling height for that room that I kind of created. And we've got a whole bunch of cleanup to do. That's fine. So same thing. Is this other roof plane coming off of this wall or the blue wall?
It's coming off of this wall, and then essentially we're using some space under the blue wall where in the existing attic, where that's like a functional height.
Okay. So let's join these first of all. So using my join roof tool, which I didn't get it close enough. I love that guess and check. It's frustrating when it doesn't work out, but it's so satisfying when it does. There we go. So those two are met. We probably need to adjust the overall height. Do we know what the plate height would be on this?
Roof structure. That would be a very useful. I believe where the ceiling starts to angle inside the bathroom is at about 6 feet.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay, so, and then this is just doing a little bit of math. This is how I would approach this, is in my general panel, we are going to adjust the baseline height in this case. So what I need to know, maybe the easiest way to do this is just pull a cross section through the house. What I want to know is how high is our second floor? Actually, it would have been just easier to grab it from absolute dimensions of the room itself. So let me do that. I could do it from here though. I could just, snap a line, tab input, grab that height. But instead, we'll go into the room and figure out what our absolute floor height is right there, okay? I'm gonna copy that. And then, let me see, I've done a bunch of training lately. I don't know if I've told you about, have I told you about clipboard history on your Windows machines?
Like on your copy paste?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay. Can I have you guys all do something on your machines?
Yes.
Once you hit your start menu, type in clipboard. Should give you clipboard settings. Are you on Windows 10 or 7 or?
I think I'm on at least 10, and I think it might have gone to 11. Might force me to upgrade.
So if you type in clipboard and after hitting your Windows key, does it give you clipboard settings?
Yeah, I've got clipboard settings.
Okay. Of course, you can just search it in system. So if you can get to your system or control panel, you can search clipboard from there. And then once you open that up in system, you're going to see something that says clipboard history.
Yes, I've got.
Okay. Turn on clipboard history. Ashley, let us know when you
Yep.
got it.
Yes.
Everybody got it? Okay. So we've got that turned on. Let's just do a little test. If you've got anything you can type some text into or copy anything that you want, I want you to copy a couple different things. In fact, you can just go to the internet, right? We can just copy any amount of text here. So I'm going to highlight some text, Control-C to copy. I'm going to highlight some additional text, Control-C to copy. If I wanted to paste that text, typically I would do Control-V, right? Paste. Instead, I'd like you to hold your Windows key and V together. It's going to bring you up a tray of your last copied items. So now you can choose anything from that tray, and it's a scrolling tray, so you can scroll down up to 25 items. And whatever you then click on, subsequently click on, that's what's going to paste. And judging by Ashley's face, this is
That's
a great
amazing.
Okay,
That's,
good.
Wow.
Don't mind me, I'll pick my jaw up off the counter.
All right, good. I'll give you just another little fun one. Microsoft makes an application called Sticky Notes, which is this right here. And then if you look up always on top on the internet, what you'll find is always on top. There we go. There's a little executable file on the internet called always on top. And so if I have my sticky note right now on top of my chief architect, if I click on chief architect, obviously it goes away, okay? Always on top is running right now on my machine. It takes up no resources. If I hit control space on this sticky note, and now I click in chief architect, you can see the sticky note stays on top of chief architect. So if I have some notes I need to work through and have it on top of my application, and I can drag it around as I need to, or add new ones, maybe that's helpful. All right, so I'm going to utilize that selection tool here. So we already copied the floor height. So the only other thing I need to do is get back to my roofs and adjust my baseline height on these roofs. So open these up, and I'm going to make sure that I'm locking my pitch, whatever that pitch needed to be. What is that pitch?
We have it as a 1210.
Okay, so it's a 1210. So I'm going to lock. Right now, I'm just locking baseline height and then adjusting the pitch, and then I can lock the pitch and adjust the baseline height. So I'm going to paste in. Oops, the wrong thing because. All right, so I'm going to paste in for my tray that 107 inch. And then you said it was 6 foot where it interceded?
I believe that is.
Okay, so I'm just going to add 6 foot. And then that should adjust this down. Now I'm going to take this roof plane, extend it out like so, get it close, and use that auto tool again. In fact, I don't even need this roof plane. We already know that because we can just copy the one I get right.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing, populate this up here, get it close. I'm going to need to put a break in it because it's going to go flat along the line of the wall there. And then use the join tool, hopefully get it close enough. You need to get one of these or the other a little bit closer until it does its magic, which I might need to do a little bit more work on. Okay. That's a good example. So let's see, let's pop this up here. There we go. And that's funny, it cut it all the way through. That's not helpful at all. So, good example of me kind of failing at my own teaching. Here we go.
No, you're just making sure that we don't feel dumb.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to line that up, and then this actually looks like it needs to come back. And this forward. Oh, is this is two separate roof planes. Did I just do that to myself? I might have.
Maybe you got too close with the dormer.
But that's actually a good method. It's exactly what we said earlier about breaking a roof plane up to make things work. And then all of a sudden the join tool worked just fine. So check this out. This is a funny thought. We've got this roof plane that's sectioned, right? Let's duplicate it and reflect it about this ridge line. And what I'm going to do is, because I just did that, I'm going to come in here and conform the larger roof plane to that one we just created. And then I can delete it. So I can come in here, add my little break, snap this in place. We got a lot going on. It'd be nice to have a layer set with just roofs.
I ended up with a set of plans. I ended up actually doing I have one page that's just what I called a framing plan. And then
Okay.
where I'd turn like all the cabinets and everything off just for the sake of like
Okay.
when I'm looking at going, I can't make sense of this knowing what I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be doing. The guys in the field don't have a prayer.
So here we go. This is it. We've got it. Now I can get rid of this, I think. Yep. And then I can join these two. Even though they overlap, they just unionized. Okay. And the only other last thing I feel like I need to do is, this might be drywall, so I need to reverse the layers. Okay, yeah. There we go. Just need to reverse these layers. And then line it back up to where it needed to go because it now offset because of that reverse. The one thing I forgot to do was copy your windows. So I'd have to grab those from the previous plan, which not a big deal. These guys right here. Paste hold position. So got this back in place. There we go. And now we probably have some easier things to work with, even though you may have some repair to do. So we're no longer using the floating dormer. This is a fun little project, design-wise. Yeah.
It's an interesting, it's definitely going to be fun. It's, there have been some
Okay.
challenges, but
Yeah, I imagine. Let's see, we are on, which one is the right one? This is the one I just copied from, I think.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, because this is our new one, right? Yeah. Any blaring issues in this?
I'd have to double check dimensions and whatnot,
Yeah.
but overall it's,
Whoops.
I think it is basically correct. The
So,
toilet wall area is a little
Now,
wonky from
here's
what
that,
it was, but
that thing we were talking about, right? This is going to be tile on the underside.
yeah.
So this, hopefully we did this all right and we can figure this out now. So structure panel, uncheck use room finish, and that's it. There we go. Now we should be able to paint a tile on that.
Okay.
And let's just, here, I'll throw, there you go. Is it all the same tile in this bathroom?
It's the same shower wall tile, yes.
Okay. And then I'm assuming this wall doesn't actually impede there?
No, it comes back to about
Yeah.
basically when
well,
you look at the
least
original
here.
where the basically we're kind of tucking the shower back a little bit behind under the eaves.
Okay. Assuming the siding's all the same, maybe?
Correct.
And then we have, what is this? This is some kind of, what is that? That's funny. Oh, it's seeing this as a room in here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically we're using that little bit of space to make the shower bigger. So the shower's just
Okay.
kind of,
So we're just gonna say that there's actually no moldings in here. In this shower. I'm assuming no baseboard. There we go. And then same thing here, we have a little section here that has a problem.
so we had actually ended up using basically a polyline to kind of
Okay.
create where the angle meets the wall.
And then anytime you have a condition where we've got an exterior wall and it's cut halfway through, and then the lower half is going to be an interior wall, we have options for that as well. But it doesn't seem like that's the condition here.
The area by the
Well,
toilet's
it
a
is
little
here.
wonky
You
from
see how
what it
this?
is,
You see how this is siding inside of this little
but- Mhm.
section here? We can always open up this wall and say that lower wall type if split by a budding roof, and that's on our roof panel in our wall specification. And now we've changed it so that anything below that abutting roof is going to be drywall, and of course it didn't work, which means that my roof plane might not be meeting this siding the way it should be. Yeah, there's a little gap here. There you go. So we can see this gap here. Just needs to pop into that exterior wall. except for it's bumping it off of it automatically.
So yeah, basically there where you see that like 17 and that
There we go.
turquoise that goes back, that's where the shower bench the shower kind of
Okay.
like nooks back, if that makes sense.
Okay. So we butted this roof plane up to this exterior wall, and we have that lower wall type, and look, it did it. Now we've got drywall on the interior side. And I usually tell people don't just paint exterior walls, actually get it done in the material side of things, but if it works fine. If you have problems with it, then you need to open up the wall and actually go in and change the materials.
And how would we put it back? So in that case, we do have essentially that little ribbon of roof kind of coming around the base of the dormer. How would you add that?
Tell me what that is.
Like basically where you see it cutting through the eaves here. Like it's not going to be just one smooth wall from floor to dormer peak.
A section right here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can just break this, or we could just add a new roof plane. Either way.
Okay. Yeah. There we
That's what
go.
we're talking about?
That's what was throwing me off.
And it's not going to give me an edit handle here, unfortunately. So I just need to come back in here and do it manually. Oh, and then what are the overhangs? Probably the same as what you got here.
One foot.
Okay. This is interesting. It has a hole in our roof plane now that will not let me edit.
I just like to be a problem child.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there, that part's done. Now I can snap this. And then this is going to be, you said, a 1 foot overhang.
Mm-hmm.
1 foot. And snap this guy. All right, so this should be looking pretty sharp.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little thing going on here. That might be, this looks like it's a manually edited wall, maybe?
It is because we're basically putting the pocket door and the plumbing in the same wall on that side. So obviously she's going to be double thick to hold everything she needs to.
Okay, so I'm going to click default wall type height. Anytime we drag walls, it's very problematic, and we can usually get around it. And actually, that looks fine. It auto-generated the wall above. Auto-generated a very funny wall above, but yeah. And then this wall isn't aligned with tile, so I'm assuming you've got something that abuts this.
It just wasn't behaving, I think.
Okay, and this is a funny assembly. So this is supposed to be aligned?
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we looking at here? So you have a pocket door frame.
And then essentially we're essentially just framing a second wall on the shower side so that we have space for the plumbing.
So, and this is a thicker wall. So why is that thick wall is not actually represented here, or it is? Oh. So you have some kind of other wall here. This is an attic generated wall. Wait. Okay. Are these two supposed to align?
My understanding was that we are just thickening it behind the shower.
And then so it has a return right here.
Definitely by the shower side, but let me just double check that with Christina tomorrow and make sure I understood her correctly there.
Okay, so I just did a little return so that we just filled in that drywall, hopefully, maybe not, maybe not. Yeah, this might need a little bit of playing with, because Chief does have a problem sticking walls next to normal walls. Especially since we have a door.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things that we might see an update about coming up here.
That would be useful. Do you know if they're going, I guess you can't really tell me, but In a perfect world, I would love to see it. Here on this side of the country, everybody has full basements, and we do a lot of finishing out of basements, and you usually have some form of either cinder block or cement foundation wall you're dealing with, and then you're installing a finish wall over that.
Yeah.
And Chief does not like that. When you take your finish wall and you marry the two, because that in reality is what's going to happen, it requires some fighting. But it occurred
Okay.
to me the other day that we could probably essentially make a finished basement wall type and solve that.
You can, yeah, and you're right, absolutely. We also have bird walls, and it's been a while since I've done that, but here you go, bird wall in your structure panel.
Okay.
Underneath double wall, designated as a bird wall, and then you can butt it.
So it's the fact that we're just trying to use an interior wall that has drywall on both sides.
Yeah, and it wants
This
to bite.
making it
Yeah.
freak out.
Okay, we kind of gotten to our closing session, but maybe
I think that's.
maybe you want to work from this.
I
don't know.
yeah. I think that could definitely fix my renderings that way. Nothing else. That would be
All right.
vastly
hopefully-
helpful.
Hopefully it's not too much work to get this to conform. Let's see, this overhang's going to be from this wall, so 12 inches. And let me make sure that this is right too.
Sorry.
Yeah, so just a little bit of fixing to do here in this intersection. You have 3 walls intersecting in this one section.
Yes.
And
Which
one of
is-
them's a pony wall and the other one's a bird wall, and then we've got a pocket door. So there's a lot going on in this intersection. So you might need to fake it if it's just seems more efficient, because you might
Yeah,
like
I mean,
this for a while.
if nothing else, I mean, I think I have it, like the structural part, I think we got it faked with what we had going on in a way that's interpretable. It was just
Okay.
that one rendering where it was like, I've called it out on the elevations, like saying, okay, tile meets shiplap, you know, but I couldn't
Yeah.
get the texture to change. And it's like that rendering is going to be really important to understanding, you know, what I'm talking about. And I couldn't get the rendering right. So if nothing
Yeah.
else, I'll use yours for the sake of, okay, here's the rendering. This is what it's supposed to look like. But,
I'm messing with the wall intersections right now just to see if I can get there with the wall intersection tool. But I kind of have a feeling it didn't work. So the wall intersection tool is anytime you select a wall, you've got, it's not a wall. Let's see. Here's a wall. Let me see if I can zoom in on this for you. This icon right there.
okay.
Okay. And then once I utilize that icon, I can drag back my intersections on my wall layers. Now, because that's a pony wall setup, it might not work. Yeah, it didn't work.
So to be perfectly honest with that one, given all the issues she was having, the shower curb there is just a 4-inch by 4-inch polyline
Oh, okay.
with
yeah,
just
sure.
glass wall above.
Yeah,
It's
you know, sometimes you just got to get it done.
no, I'm usually not a fan of polylines. Like they cause me issues in construction drawings, but this one was one I looked at. I'm like, there's a time and a place for polylines, and this project was it.
And this is it. Yeah. Okay. How are they? Is this an existing toilet?
So that wall doesn't come that far forward.
Oh, this wall doesn't come this far. Okay. I'll fix this and then.
Yeah, it was about like that. And then the ceiling slopes. And
Okay.
she originally just had a polyline like breaking that wall and the wall angle up there.
Well, and then the rendering's going to be real challenging.
I have a saved rendering that works of that
Okay.
side.
So I have a method for this, but this is another 15 minutes or so. So
Let's hit
we'll
that.
put it on the list.
I was gonna say, let's hit that at the beginning of next week's because that's the full team. And I
Okay.
think that's something that would be really helpful for their side as well,
Okay.
for the design side as well.
Oh, so are we gonna do a fill? You guys want a training next week?
Yes, that was kind of the plan, just because we got signals crossed last week. You know,
Yeah.
this is last week's session, so then just
Okay.
so we keep the normal sequence and don't get everybody all confused.
All right,
So.
sounds good. All right.
So
That's it. I
that
want to
is,
see what this looks like with the little rendering magic. Have I, I'll just make this note because this keeps coming up in sessions for people doing renderings is, have we gone over light sets, adjusting your light sets?
I think at least a little bit in passing, but not, I don't think we've necessarily dedicated a whole session to it.
Okay, this is just a quick tip while we're here. Anytime that you're pulling a 3D camera, you pulled it inside of this bathroom, now you want to come into this bedroom and see lights turned on in the ceiling, which are not turned on for some reason.
Because they aren't there.
Because they're not there for this case, yeah. And we know about our automatic light sets. You guys have done a workaround by turning on 200 lights, which puts a lot of, stress on your computer. Yeah, okay. Let's dump this back down to 10. You can always create a new light set for room by room basis. Okay, so this is now bedroom lights. And then make sure all these lights are turned on for this specific room for this light set. Once I've built a light set, I can associate it using my Save Camera tool. So if I open up and edit this camera that has just been saved, I can see here bedroom lights is associated with this camera, which means if I've set it up right, only the bedroom lights turn on for this camera. Okay. Now, you'll notice here, well, we're using that light set, but let me go back to just automatic. And I'm going to say that we're only allowed one light and that this light is turned on. So this light's turned on. I want to come in here and have these lights turn on, but they're not. Okay? Chief will render any scene with lights based on a rebuild of the mesh of your project. Chief rebuilds anytime you add a component or symbol into your plan, or it will rebuild if you hit the F5 key. So if I want these lights to turn on, I could either place an item in here in this room, and all of a sudden you see lights turned on. If I want to come back in this other room and have this light be on, I could either place an item or I could hit my F5 key, and now light just turned on in this room. So if you guys are ever struggling with lights just not being on, there's a few little quick tips.
That's really helpful. So.
All right.
But yeah.
And then that's it. I would give no more tips today.
Fair enough. All right. That was very helpful. I appreciate it. And you definitely saved me some headache fighting with that one. So, and I'll tell Christina that dormers are not her friend.
Yeah, I don't like them. It doesn't give you enough control, and there's too many conditions for those oftentimes. So.
All right.
Okay, so that's in your project folder. Should be there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, you guys.
And we will
Thanks.
see you next week.
Another good one.
Thank you.
So-
Thank you.
Thank you.